Hello and welcome to another episode of the Video Creator Show, where we talk the ins and outs of how to succeed on YouTube. Today, I am here with the Storage Auction Pirate. His channel currently sits at 177,000 subscribers and over 34 million total channel views. Why don't you tell us exactly what you do in your own words so that people can get a good idea of who you are?
Well, basically, I run my entire life off the storage auction business. Now, my whole content revolves around it, and it's also how I feed my family. I'm well as being a content creator and a storage buyer. I'm a father to four. I have a significant other. We got a house full of pets. I mean, like, I got to provide. So, like, there's a business aspect always outside of the internet. So, I buy and sell storage units. I sell at the flea market. I sell at eBay marketplace. I'm actually in my warehouse now. We have customers right there at the door buying stuff. It's like one big, like, it's almost like a reality show sometimes more than a just content creation because I do a lot of lives. But yeah, I do a combination of all those things together. And outside of YouTube, you have to run other social media platforms on top of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes total sense. So, there's a lot to buying and selling storage units. Obviously, like a lot of your videos, are you going through them and kind of deciding what is worth money, what's not, figuring out how to, maybe open a safe or something. There's a lot of kind of nitty gritty details that it takes experience to figure out. So, were you doing this long before YouTube, and then suddenly you decided to turn the camera on this, or did YouTube and buying and selling storage units coincide together for you?
Well, I guess it kind of one fell into hand with the other. So I used to be a furniture mover, and in the midst of being a furniture mover, I dabbled in selling things. That was like back when my kids were first born, and like money was scarce way back then. So I used to take free stuff home from move jobs, and I would sell it. And that got me into the reselling aspect. I would go out every Sunday to the flea market. I didn't even know what I was doing. I would just sell furniture and stuff from Goodwill piles. And then the housing market crashed. Everybody stopped moving, and I wanted a means for making more stuff to sell to make extra money. So I came home from work one day, and Dan Dotson of Storage Wars, coincidentally, was holding an auction at my moving company. And I just went out there and I bought something for $1, and I sold one piece of that lot for 600, and I just stopped moving furniture that night. I was like, it's just, I could make the same amount in 1 minute as I did in the whole week of working. So I went all into reselling. And at the time, I wanted to do reality television. I actually was on Storage Hunters for a little bit, and I did some other things like stuff like that. And it led me to want to do YouTube. And I just randomly started making videos. And overnight, like a year later, one blew up, and I got this little notification, hey, you have this much money. And I was like, holy crap, you can get paid for this stuff too? And I just started taking it somewhat more seriously.
Mm-hmm. So was that difficult to do that really sudden switch? Because this was still new for you, and you were making your living off of this. Like, was there a period of time where you felt like, oh my God, I changed way too quickly, or is this just the way that you like to do things? You're somebody who likes to pivot quickly, figure it out immediately, and that's just the way that you do.
I'm more of a slow learner. I learned things the hard way, which has been a tough road for me. I learned the hard way, for example, on YouTube. There's certain ways you have to present yourself. And when I first started doing this, I was extremely raw. I would do things that were not necessarily acceptable for a channel. For example, I would smoke during my video, or I might say a curse word, or there were things that I learned. So back when my channel started, I was just putting up content. We would just be like the boys hanging out, making videos. There was just all the wrong things. So I learned quickly, or not really quickly. It took me a while. I had to meet some other YouTubers and start learning processes. And I quickly, instantly changed my channel and direction, and also the intensity in which I wanted to produce videos. Before, it was kind of just like, I don't know how to explain it, but I would just make a clip of something and call it a video. It was like 2 minutes of us just, this shouldn't have been a video. So I had to do a lot of growing up through YouTube. I had to do a lot of maturing, so to speak. It's not like you want to be something you're not, but you have to find a way to fine tune yourself, and you don't have to display everything you do. And I was trying to go for kind of like I don't know, like kind of like a Truman style storage auction
Hmm.
reality show, but sometimes those things are a little bit too intense for content purposes and the way the platforms like to display things, you know.
Hmm. Absolutely. Like it's there needs to be a certain vetting process for what becomes worthy of entertainment, so to speak. So I'm curious, like, what did that vetting process look like? You're buying and selling these storage units. You're going through all these things. You're kind of at first filming as much as humanly possible. It sounds like. Then how did you start deciding what was worth keeping and what was worth just leaving unaired?
That's something I'm still. I mean, I've been doing. I think my first video currently up because I've deleted over 1,000 videos. My first video up now is 2010, and I have still over 1,000 videos. But it's still a learning curve. Like recently, I've really decided to stop filming every box. Like that's what I've done for the longest time because what's not seen on camera is the amount of work involved in storages, and it is fun. Trust me, I've found some great items. I've found a lot of 5-digit sale items, but there's tens of thousands of hours of work that come along with it each year of doing this job, and it's hard to create content. So for example, let's just say I bought one 5x5 storage unit. If I just went and picked that up by myself, ran through it, took the good stuff to my eBay center and called it a day and went home, I could do that in probably an hour. But to film a video, that unit now takes 3 hours. Then I got to send it to my editor, which takes another hour, and then I got to pay my editor to make my video because I do not have time to even to edit my own videos at the current moment. On top of keeping up with multiple platforms, and it's like just it's a nonstop evolving process because one takes away from the other, and if like you want to profit, right? Like I said, I got to feed children, I got to provide, and there is the business side of YouTube where revenue comes in. So everything has to balance out to where it's worth your time.
Hmm. Right. And so I'm curious. You start filming everything. You successfully start vetting what is worth filming. Like you stop filming every box. How long did it take for YouTube to start working for you, or to start like really pay you enough to where you were like, oh, this is worth it, and I can really add to my income with this?
Well, see, for me, luckily, YouTube is not my only stream of revenue. Like I have pretty much, I'm making money on multiple platforms. Facebook has now become my number one source for content income, actually. But YouTube is a wave. Like it's really a wave. So if you can't keep up with it, and I've gone on some dry spells. So for example, in the last year, I really focused more on selling. It was kind of like videos become frustrating because I'm buying storage units to create content, and I don't enjoy that. Like I'm not type person who could be like, hey guys, this is so great, we're in a storage. And not like if the storage sucks, I'm like, yeah, cool box. Like I don't have the energy in me at this point to keep it at a level I need to. So I had to figure out a way to balance it out. I don't want to buy a storage unit just because I have to produce a video, just because the system requires I put out content. So I had to find, I'm in the process of finding a balance to where I can keep a certain level of consistent content, which for me right now is trying to do 3 videos a week. I'm trying to do like 3 cool videos, and that's my weekly YouTube regimen right now.
Hmm.
And that trying to be able to buy the units I want to. I'm kind of like I guess I'm a high risk storage buyer. Like I'm not looking to just turn and burn some money. I'm looking to top my personal best storage unit in every purchase. So like when I look at a storage unit, I will not even generally bid on one that a lot of people will, because they're focused on just doubling their money, tripling their money. I want to like find something that's like, you're just in it.
Hmm. So, can you walk us through that process of figuring out what storage unit is worth buying? I'm guessing like you get some kind of background on who owns it, and who you are buying it from, and then deciding what to buy, and then once you open the door, going through it and figuring out what everything is, how much it's worth. Can you kind of take us through that process that is the kind of centerpiece of your show?
Well, the reality to storage business, which a lot of people won't say because they just don't like, they want to believe that everything is systematic. You can calculate the risk, et cetera, et cetera. But the cold reality of the storage business is there is no real way, because even the best looking thing you've profiled, it could be all broken, it could be all fake, it could be staged. it's purely a gamble every single purchase. But it's like, for example, you go to the casino and you put money in the slot machine, you're almost never getting nothing back. You're walking away empty-handed. The storage business, you're always getting something to at least soften the blow. You know what I mean? Like if I spend $4,000, I might still walk away with $2,000 out of a little bit of work and time. So you have to have that aspect that there could be absolutely nothing when you're bidding in every storage. I don't care if you see the nice lawnmower, it could be missing all the parts inside. It's just, you have to think that way. So I look for something of value, right? And for me, I have a way of looking at things that I don't think everybody per se can. I spent most of my childhood in the storage business. So I spent every day of my life packing people. I'd walk into your house, I would take your personal stuff, put it in a box. I'd empty your panty drawer, your nightstand drawer. I'd go under your bed, you know what I mean? Like I have a way of looking at things. So if I see a couple of things, I start to like picture the person that I think owned it, be based on somebody I moved in this town. It's just a weird way I have, but I believe that came from the almost some 20 plus years I spent moving people, packing them, unloading them, et cetera, et cetera. So it's hard for me to describe my style of profiling because it's more of like a gut feeling. It's literally like a vision, I almost say I would have, but there are times where that's not necessarily the case. You know what I mean? Like if say I just want to buy a storage unit and you see, you know, Craftsman toolbox, you know, that's 50 and you see a couple boxes. If you bid 50, you're getting your money back out of the toolbox empty. You're getting your money back. And if there's something in there, it's the luck, right? It's like a pool of a slot machine, really.
Mm-hmm. And like, do you feel like getting into this line of work? I think for a lot of people, it seems like it would be hard to rely on it. Like it would cause a lot of stress, but clearly like this is something that aligns with you. You're okay with the, you know, slot machine analogy being part of your career here. Was that something that was hard for you to deal with, or was it like, it sounds like it excites you, and it's something that, you know, you get this gut feeling and you're kind of able to just move forward based on that. Is there a simplicity to that you like? Or are there some nights where you're like, oh my God, what am I doing here? This is too hard to predict.
Well, see, first and foremost, I hate gambling. If we go to a casino, I get mad after losing $20. I hate gambling. But when it comes to a storage unit, I've gained confidence, right? Confidence is key. You don't want to be arrogant, but you got to be a fine line between confidence. Now, for example, my girlfriend, she's kind of new to this. I actually met her. She was the manager of my storage facility, and she quit her job. She moved in with me. Long story short, we are like a team now. And she struggles with the gambling factor on a storage unit because like I'm used to bidding $5,000. I'm like, there could be like this piece in there if there's just this collection of things I see. And I see what you're like, the kind of the answer to this question is like some people struggle with that because she gets really paranoid, right? Mm-hmm. And for me, it's more like I like this one, right? And there are times where this doesn't work. So like about a month ago, maybe almost 2 months ago, I had to take a little break because I bought a unit for $5,000, had all the things I love, but the second I opened the door, all you smelled was cat piss. It was bad, like the whole thing. Like I was just immediately shattered inside. Like my spirit was broken. The second I smelled it, I knew that this $5,000 investment was not going to be wise, right? Dang. So there are moments that will break you because I think my personal biggest loss in this storage business was $5,600, like on a unit I bought full of brand new product. And so you have to learn, what is it Will Smith says, failure is the key to success. That's something that sticks in my head, why I want to call it a gamble, because if you're not willing to lose, you're not going to win. So you have to right off the bat have that mentality. A lot of people ask me, hey, I want to join this business. I tell everybody right now today, I don't care if 1 million people come in this business, but today is the worst single time in my experience for somebody to enter this business today because everything is inflated and people are not buying as much. So you have to be willing to lose. Bottom line, you have to be willing to lose to win.
Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing that all does kind of balance out in the end, right? Like sometimes you spend $5,600 on a storage unit and it just isn't worth it at all. But then sometimes you probably don't spend much and there's a really expensive painting in there or something. do you try to keep that balance of perspectives? Is that how you kind of stay sane, by just kind of having the bird's eye view of this is part of the process, and some days I'm really up, some days it's a bit down, but overall I'm always making more money than I'm losing in the long run because this is how it's always been.
Well, I think it's important to have more than one stream of revenue. Somebody once told me in order to be wealthy, you have to have 5 streams of revenue. So at first I believe that for me, like you have to have multiple streams. So even if the storage units are bad, maybe YouTube's going to pay that month better, or Facebook Reels are going to come in, or we're going to make a bunch of sales. There's so many avenues. So it's always best to not put your eggs in one basket. So if everything is on that storage unit, that's dangerous. Here, for example, I think it's been just shy of 3 years. I think November 2nd marked 3 years. We finally moved into a home. The year of before that, me and my 2 kids who I just got full custody of were homeless. I was living on the streets. They would stay with their grandma sometimes, or we'd be in a hotel if they weren't there. I would sleep in my car to save money. But that is the place this business took us to. It took me about 7 months of saving up and hitting some jackpot storage units and being willing to roll that dice to get us back into a nice home, build our life forward. Now we're in this warehouse that we're running our business out of. We have a nice home. We just bought a brand new truck, brand new trailer. Really, it has highs and lows, right? You can lose everything real freaking quick. But if you're not willing to get back up, you know what I mean? Like, that's the problem. Like, a lot of people will take that blow, you know what I mean? Like, I had bought a storage unit last week for $2,800, and I was a little discouraged. My buddy came over just now, went through my records. He found 2 $800 records and 1 $400 record, and that was just the 3 best. So like my whole storage was saved on just 6 boxes of records. He found about $3,500 in there in records.
Wow, that's a beautiful story, by the way. Like that's a real comeback story. That I'm really happy it's working out this well for you, given the lows you've dealt with in the past. So I'm curious. You have these multiple streams of revenue. There's obviously the actual storage units. Then you have your online presence. You have a Facebook, an Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. You're in a lot of different places. Can you talk about like how Facebook in particular? So usually with this podcast, we focus on YouTube. You've kind of touched a bit on how you vet content, but I'm curious, like, is there a difference in growing on Facebook versus YouTube? Because I'm not that familiar with Facebook. Is there a different strategy you use? Or is it just kind of the same content that you upload there?
In my personal opinion, I have a lot of friends who do what I do. I know I'm good buddies with a lot of people on YouTube and Facebook, and everybody who has transcended into the Facebook world, they see an easier growth. And I personally believe Facebook is very much easier to grow on, because here's a simple reason why. So let's say we're on YouTube. If you go to hit share, what do you have to do to share it? You got to go to your Instagram story. You got to go to your Facebook wall. You have to go outside of YouTube. And here's a big thing that is not spoken of. Platforms hate when you send somebody to another platform. Mm-hmm. So if you get somebody to leave your YouTube channel to go to your Instagram, right off the bat, you're lowered in promotion. I've experienced that because I did that a lot over the years, and I learned that in about the last 6 months. So I now run each platform separately. My YouTube is my YouTube, my Facebook. If you guys want to find me there, go ahead. But I don't say like, hey, follow me here, because you end up with this funnel of bringing yourself down. But when you're on Facebook and somebody shares a video, they just share it to Facebook. So it keeps them internally inside of the program. And I personally found the revenue to pay better in Facebook. Your CPM, your RPM, et cetera, et cetera. Like, for example, YouTube doesn't pay for shorts. They have us in a program where if we get 10 million views by February 16th, we'll get thrown in a hat for the bonus program. On Facebook, you could top out at $34,800 a month in just the reel bonus. And that's amazing. I mean, 60-second, 90-second videos that you can max out a month at $35,000. Like, that's not a chump change. You know, that's freaking nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard the same thing, that Facebook tends to pay better, especially compared to YouTube short content. I know next year YouTube is upgrading their monetization system of shorts, mm-hmm. but kind of in the meantime, at least, Facebook does seem to pay better there. And as far as so is Facebook your main source of online revenue, or it's your highest one?
I would
That's what I
definitely
heard.
say it's my highest at this point because I look at everything as like this big wave at this point. For example, currently my YouTube is low. When I put out a video, I'm topping out at like 5,000 video views. And before my shorts went viral, so like let's say 6 months ago, I was not doing shorts. I was averaging 10 to sometimes 20,000 views a video on the good days. And as soon as my shorts went viral, it kind of like pegged my videos down. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but this is just what I see from watching my growth and my views. As a creator, you're always like monitoring your views daily, monthly,
Right.
whatever. And so I've noticed a big drop in my YouTube, but my Facebook, it does that same similar thing, but it has better highs. And even the lows seem to be better than my YouTube highs currently. So at the beginning of this year, I was at 63,000 followers on Facebook, and now I currently sit at 532,000. It has definitely become my highest follower platform. I get the most views. I think I average about 10 million views a month just in my shorts or my reels on there.
Wow. Huh. Yeah, you're making a good case for Facebook. I feel like in my own experience, I tend to underutilize Facebook. And YouTube is great, of course, but you're selling me on Facebook. I'm digging it.
I
So,
think there are a lot of problems. I will say they have different balances. For example, YouTube isn't systematically glitching. Facebook has a lot of weird glitches. Like they done
mm,
some things to me where they called my content unoriginal and would unmonetize me for a while. And I'm like, what the hell? This is I only create my own content. I hold my camera, I edit it, I don't use prod. I mean, like it could be frustrating because you can't get a lot of support in any of these platforms. I don't care which one it is, YouTube, Facebook. No one offers great like customer support. They just give you like an email. Yeah, I understand. It looks like everything checks out. Have a good day.
mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard Facebook can be kind of janky with that. I kind of wonder, with you being reported for unoriginal content, if somebody was stealing your content and then they reported you, and then Facebook didn't look into it enough to actually see that you were in fact the originator of this content. But that's just my little conspiracy theory here. So I wanted to pivot here. You have your warehouse, you have employees, you have an editor. Can you tell us about the team that you work with and kind of your streamlined process for creating the videos that you do, posting them across platforms? What does that look like exactly? Your overall workflow between your team?
well, I have had a various team off and on. Like for example, like my uncle helps me out. Uncle Mike, he's in a lot of my videos. If anybody ever watching my channel, like yeah, it's Uncle Mike. He helps me do a lot of moving and stuff, but he is not technically savvy. He's kind of an older spirit, so to speak. One of those. He doesn't do too much technology. So as I'm transcending into it, because I believe in adaptation, like I think you're saying, like moving in different angles. The world we live in as a reseller, not just a content creator, but I think like COVID kind of did it, but the flea market, personal experience world is dissolving, and the internet world is where things are transpiring for resellers. So he has not been helping us as much, but my main source of help is my son. He's actually here watching with us here on the side, but he does a lot of things with me. He's actually he graduated recently, so I gave him a couple choices, and he chose the one that we're doing here, which is he's taking on all content creation. He is basically created his own reselling channel, which is where I'm training him to be a reseller from day one, so to speak. And he helps me with all of my eBay, and we do a lot of filming together. He's the cameraman. And then I also have his uncle who has kind of come in the picture now, and he's helping us run because we expanded again to a new platform called Whatnot, which is like a revolutionary style of selling where you're live. We used to do it on YouTube, a lot of us, and now this came out. So adaption, like I said, the flea market world in my eyes is dissolving. You still get like some customer base there, but we're moving to a different style platform. People want just sit in their home and push buttons. So we've took on Whatnot heavily. We've done probably 20 shows in our first month. We went just all in doing a lot of shows. And so now we're just, we're expanding, so to speak. So now we have like more team members than normal, but things have really picked up, especially with Q4 right now is like the time. If you're a reseller, we've sold literally 1,200 items on Whatnot in 1 month and about 1,100 items on eBay in the last 30 days too.
Hmm. So what is Whatnot exactly? Like, it's linked on your YouTube channel. It's a place where you can sell things. I've never heard of it. Maybe I'm just ignorant, but can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, that's it's not that you're ignorant. Literally everybody that even a reseller, I tell them, yeah, I'm on Whatnot. They're like, what is that? What do you mean Whatnot? And it's like it's because they're pretty massive, from what I understand. Because I went to a reseller convention recently, my first ever, but I'm want to get out of my shell. Many people don't realize, but I'm pretty shy. I've spent most of my content creation career where I'm just very in a shell. And it's easy here by myself, but I want to get out of my shell. So I went to the Boss Reseller Remix, and Whatnot was there, and a lot of Whatnot YouTubers, sellers were there. And I learned they're already like a $4 billion company.
Oh
And so
wow.
basically, it's an app. It's similar to this. We sit with the phone upwards like this. It's not sideways, and I'm live. And so there's an example is this is my Whatnot studio right here. This is the stuff we're selling today. It's when we're done here, I'll move this back and be ready. And so we have the camera right there, and we basically have a timer. You push the button, it says pin this item. This would be, for example, a Juan Mirashill Hall of Fame signed baseball. We start everything at $1. You could choose to start wherever you want to, but you're going to get a lot of no sales. People were looking for a deal. I'm a high risk kind of guy, so I like the factor that we're going to be a dollar start everything to lure in more people, and we're going to gamble on the fact that we're just going to have more of a 100% sell through rate. And so you just sit there, you show it, push a button, pin it, hit it. You can set 15 seconds to like a minute 30, and you can either choose sudden death where it'll extend every
Hmm.
last second if somebody bids, or you just end the clock. And yeah, it's just boom, automation. You can do, I think we can average about 100 lots in 2 hours on average.
Wow. Huh. This sounds like a way more fun version of eBay. There's more, just more bells and whistles, more of a live, almost entertainment aspect. Even. That sounds really dope. I'll check it out
Well,
a little bit
eBay
deeper.
is adapting now because of this platform came out. If you pay attention to reselling at any level, so in the last couple of weeks, because of Whatnot's power with their live platform, this is why eBay created a live, which basically sucks. They're trying to sell like $7,000 rings and stuff. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
come on, it's not what people are looking for. And also, Poshmark has went live too. So companies are now scrambling to compete, building a live platform around their dinosaur technology because the world's adapting.
Hmm. Yeah, makes sense. I think it's great eBay finally has a really big competitor. I mean, I know there's always been Craigslist and the other ones out there, but Whatnot seems like it really
Which
changes the game.
I believe eBay bought Craigslist out years ago.
Yeah, which maybe explains why Craigslist hasn't changed in like 20 years. Do you even use Craigslist?
So recently I jumped back into it. So as a reseller, I focused way off of online for a while. It was just strictly eBay and flea market. And so recently, about 2 months ago, I bought 3 storage units totaling 75 feet. They were about 1,000 large Amazon boxes. You could see them all through here.
Oh
And it was
wow.
all brand new Christmas products. So I literally went right to Craigslist and Marketplace and OfferUp, and I made one ad for each individual Christmas item. And I've been reposting and doing all that for going on 2 months. And I have found that Craigslist sucks, in my personal opinion. I don't want them to get mad at me for saying that, but from we have about, I would say 90% of our customers who have come here are from Facebook Marketplace, and less than 10% of them have been from OfferUp and Craigslist combined. And
Hmm.
that's pretty powerful just to see that difference, having the same product, the same prices, but seeing where the business is coming from. Facebook Marketplace is fire.
Hmm.
They're on point.
Huh, that's fascinating. I moved a year ago. I used OfferUp to sell my items. It seemed to work okay. But that's interesting that if you're going to make a business out of it, Facebook Marketplace is really the place to be, and Whatnot, of course. That's fascinating. So, is there like a reason you would use, say, Facebook Marketplace versus Whatnot? It seems like Whatnot is for something that maybe is more expensive that you could get a better price for, where it makes sense to have more of a live auction. But maybe there's more to it than that.
I mean, I guess it's all about business strategy. There's so many different types of resellers. Like, are you the reseller who just bought some for $1 and you're happy to turn into five, or are you the reseller who spent five and you're willing to wait for that 100? Right? Like,
Hmm.
I've learned to kind of be a little bit of each, right? Like I'm good at separation. So when I buy a storage unit, I go through it and right away, everything that goes to flea market stays in my trailer. If it goes on eBay, it comes back here. But that doesn't mean that I might not filter that into a Facebook marketplace. For example, would be I had a Roomba, I think it was in a box, and I had set it in the back where the good stuff goes, and I ended up putting it on eBay and it sold right away. But that probably would have been a good marketplace item. But for another example is I don't think that this ball signed by Juan Marshall would be the best Facebook marketplace because I've never really dabbled in collectibles there. But on eBay or whatnot, where the focus is certain types of things, that's where I would generally do this. If I was to put on eBay, I'd probably go with the same strategy because it's hard to set a price on an unauthenticated ball. So I would go $1 starting, but eBay is the powerhouse, really. And even though I like whatnot, eBay is always the end result, best place to sell because you're going to get top dollar. And as a person who, like, if you walk around somewhere, you're at a garage sale, you walk around, where are you looking for the prices at? You're looking on eBay. Everybody checks eBay sold comps. You go to Google, you end up on eBay sold comps. It's like, so I go all eBay. Like, if the best I can do, I'm going to do eBay, but you can't sit there and list 5,000 items a day, 1,000 items a day. You'll be lucky to do 100 items in a day.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, huh? So now at this point in your career, like you have a warehouse, you are buying new things, you're doing well. What is next for you? Is there I mean, you have kind of moved into the space. Like, are there new shows that you're looking to do, or are you just looking to do what you're doing but more of it?
Well, I guess part of being a pirate in pirate life is that you don't really always have a direction, right? Like I'm kind of like I have goals, but at the same time, I'm also open to change, right? I like the unknown, so to speak. Even though being a creature of habit is kind of, I'm like redundant on myself always. But my main goal right now is to continue making money and buy a home. So like I said, 3 years ago, we were homeless. I had to let go of everything. In the process of that, I learned how to make more money. Like before that, I was that guy that everybody was at the flea market making money off of. I was in too much of a hurry. I wasn't eBaying enough. I wasn't researching enough. I was just, let's make a video. We got to go. That's all right. Get on the other one. I had to learn that even though I love videos, I can't put my eggs in the video basket because your channel can get demonetized, your views can disappear, you can get shadow banned, the world can stop paying for ads. There's so many variables that can happen. You know what I mean? Like Instagram took away their monetization for people in less than a year ago, and people barely get paid on there. You never know what can happen, right? So I want to buy a home. That's my number one goal above my channel views. I want to have a warehouse like this on a property where I don't got to commute 30 to 40 minutes to get to every day. I just pick up my merchandise and I make everything on like my own little compound, so to speak. So my ultimate goal right now is just stay with what I'm doing, right? Like somebody told me a while ago, wise man, he said, if something works, you squeeze it. What's working for me is working, right? Buying storage units, making a little bit from the views, making a little bit from the sales, but a conglomerate of everything is creating multiple streams. And I just want to like squeeze that to the best of its ability. I'm open to like a show. Like I would do a reality show again. I'm open to it, something like that. But it all has to be part of the picture, which is hustle, grind, and wine, work, buy a home, keep it flowing.
Beautiful. I think there's a simplicity to that, and there's definitely something to be said for like, this is working for you, just keep doing it, and maybe down the line a new thing will occur to you. But for now, I say kudos. I'm glad that there's a kind of simplicity to what you're doing right now. You found the thing and you're squeezing it. That's a good place to be for sure. So I'd like to ask, with all of the social media that you're on, you clearly make money off of ad revenue. Are there any other monetization avenues through social media that you're utilizing that you haven't talked about yet?
Well, like I said, Facebook's my biggest. YouTube is all right. I do make money from TikTok. Like, I mean, many people do. TikTok's the easiest. You can like freaking fart on TikTok and you're like viral and you're getting paid, but it's really nothing. It's like pennies to the dollar. I think my biggest TikTok month was probably 500, and I probably got 30 million views on there, which is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like on Facebook Reels, that would be probably 15 grand or something. But what I'm not good at is utilizing things always to the best of their ability. I am not a tech savvy guy. I'm just a simple man. I'm lucky to be here this far in life from what I've lived through, right? I don't know a lot of tech stuff. So I believe in some of these platforms like TikTok, your money's going to come from the collaborations, the advertising. I'm always really skeptical of endorsing if somebody from China says, hey, I want to pay you $400 to put this in your video. How do I know that someone's ever going to get their product, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much skepticism to that, and that is where a lot of money comes from the other platforms. And I personally do not want to be that guy just pushing products down everybody's throat. My product is me. Like my video is my product, you know. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be there just trying to solicit stuff everywhere. Instagram, I have 114,000 followers on there, and they've yet to offer me a bonus program. I've gotten probably like 5 million views this month on my shorts on there, and they don't offer me part of the bonus program.
Hmm.
And they're inadvertently linked to Facebook, which is kind of weird too. So they work simultaneously together, being as they're the same company, so to speak. And it's weird that I don't get any monetization on there. But outside of that, I'm not really part of any platforms. For example, I've never really focused on Twitter. I don't think I'm over 1,000 followers on Twitter after all of this.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of makes sense with what you do. Twitter seems like the least good platform for you. You know, you're not like tweeting about politics or something. It just, it seems like it's a good use of time to not use Twitter for you.
I've been
Um,
trying to actually build a little bit. Like I've been trying to think of like trying to throw out fun. Like I don't even know what to put on there. Like what is the point of it? You just say something weird that doesn't make sense and it goes viral. Like and I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always kind of struggled with Twitter. You know, sometimes I'll think of something clever and tweet it, and people will like and comment on it. But to me, I've always been a video guy.
Yeah.
I think Twitter is more of like an idea place if you're, philosophical or commenting on something that happened in the news. It's almost like you're joining a societal conversation about things that are already happening. You're probably not generating like conversation by something you're doing, which I think with what you're doing, it's original. It's not based off of something that's already happening necessarily. So yeah, it kind of makes sense. Honestly, I've had the same issues with Twitter. But I'd like to kind of pivot here. Is there a golden rule that you have that you would recommend to people for growing online, whether it's YouTube or Facebook? Is there kind of like a philosophy that you utilize that you always try to adhere to?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say because I don't want to forget this, but we are in a very interesting times of content creation because everything's adapting. We are used to long format and videos like this, and all of content creation, I think, is in a trying phase because we are shifting to shorts, we are shifting to reels, we are shifting to these style videos and stuff. So we're in a weird time for content creation. Um, Golden rule for me, like I said, to be straight point to the blank, I've learned a lot of what not to do, and I've always guessed I've been that way my whole life. I've learned a lot of what's kept me surviving. As I grew up in a rough environment, I had parents who were drug addicts. I've been through abuse, et cetera. And spent a lot of years homeless, not just as an adult but as a child. And I've always learned what not to do through others' eyes, but I've learned a lot of what not to do through my mistakes here. And golden rule to me is uh, keeping it real is dangerous, right? Like that's what everybody says. I watch a lot of people on the internet, and just because I enjoy content creation, and I see a lot of people making the mistake I did, where they want to keep it real, right? They're on there throwing f bombs. They're doing like, for example, I used to smoke a lot of weed. I hope that was okay to say that on here. But
Yeah,
on
yeah.
my original videos, I would just be yeah, guys, we bought a storage unit. Look at this. Like that's not cool to keep it real. It is because it's fun and your friends will enjoy it. But if you want to be successful, advertisers don't appreciate that. Yes, you could go and get a smoke shop freaking endorsement. That might work, but you want to find a fine line between keeping it real and being yourself and also being appropriate. That's what because it cost me a lot of years and a lot of money wasting my time keeping it real. It's not like I'm coming on here and being fake and preaching stuff that I wouldn't do. It's just you have to learn what you leave off the camera, so to speak. That is like really the number one golden rule. Be yourself. Don't do something that you think people want to see. I listen to Gary Vee a lot, and he says he believes that's one of people's biggest struggles. He says make content. You know what I mean? Just make content, put it out. You're going to fail and you're going to succeed. Even the best YouTuber doesn't get every video, billions of views. Videos can flop. Things happen. It could be the system that day. But if you don't make something, there's no growth. It's like, and I don't care what, even outside of videos, without application of energy, nothing can transpire. There is no evolution, no growth. You have to make content. Just do what you enjoy. You know what I mean? Just do it how you are. Don't worry about what people think, and be a little cautious on keeping it real. That's the best advice I would ever say.
Totally. And partially for advertisers, like the dangers of keeping it real. Like you're right. If you're smoking weed on camera or swearing too much or whatever it is, that can make it harder for you to monetize your channel. And I think also a danger of keeping it too real is if you are 100% yourself, like you're just pointing the camera at yourself as you are as much as possible, then you're almost like it's too vulnerable or something. Like
I feel like people complain. Like I've heard in my videos where a lot of people say, all this is you and you're talking. And I've learned to stop doing that. Like I don't even show much of me talking no more, because it's part of keeping it real. Like that's why I never discuss politics, and I'm very vague about sports, because things that people have personal attachment to limit them from enjoying you, because you just basically said I'm this way and I like that, so they're not going to like that, right? You have to find a way to be fluid, be water, so to speak. I believe everybody can enjoy whatever they want. You can think about what you want, enjoy your politics. I don't care you're Democrat or Republican, because you're never going to hear me discuss it, because I don't care. You have to learn to maneuver through those lines, because and I learned something. For example, you think a guy being a topless on a video is good, right? Like you think guys can walk around the street. I signed a contract at the beginning of the year with somebody for Facebook for a while there, and I learned some things. For example, even a guy's top off is not good on a Facebook video, which to me was probably not the best on YouTube. And people will say like, well, so-and-so does this. You see, Neff Boys did this, or whatever the case may be. Just because somebody is doing that doesn't mean it's acceptable. It means they found a way to bring their monetization through another avenue, possibly. They're getting the endorsement by the rolling papers they might have put in the ad. It wasn't because they're smoking the weed and YouTube's paying them. It's because they found a way to attract monetization through the channels that they, it's very sketchy. You don't like, for example, bodily fluids. I used to show a pee jar. Oh my God, a pee jar. Now I never show that, because I realized that that's bad for the video and it could demote promotion, visibility, et cetera, et cetera.
That is sage advice for sure. So we're kind of nearing the end of the interview here. One thing I wanted to ask you, you probably get asked this a lot, but I really want to know, like, what has been your best storage unit, as far as your return, or even just one that was most exciting for you? It doesn't even have to be, the one that made you the most money, but something that really surprised you and blew your mind and it really worked out.
Well, I always say, and this is not a monetary reason, but the greatest treasure I've ever found in a storage unit is my girlfriend, Jessica. I met her the day she came to work at my storage facility, and I always say she's the greatest treasure. But monetarily speaking, I've had a lot of success in this storage business, just as much as I've had loss. And I've hit some really insane jackpots. I bought a unit 2 years ago for $4,000, and I had 8 pieces of art that we were offered $150,000 for, but we were greedy. And we waited for Christie's to sell some, and they didn't sell the painting that they had up, which lowered the value of ours. Ours turned into $80,000 for 8 pieces, basically. And I sold my half for like 30. I hit a nice, insane jackpot on a $800 storage unit about a year and a half ago, sports cards, at the top of like the COVID era, and people were grading things like crazy. I sent a bunch of cards off. That $800 locker turned into just over $60,000 in graded cards. One LeBron James signed one of 100, ended up being a $24,000 sale on eBay.
Oh my God.
Another one is picking the flea market, which is not always a storage unit, but I pick flea markets. This is my single best score ever. I went to the flea market, stumbled on a guy with a bag of shirts. He flopped them out. I said, hey, is that a dead shirt? And he's like, yeah. I was like, how much? He said, $5. He's like, I got a bunch. I was like, oh, how much for all? He said, you buy them all, go $1 a piece. Within 24 hours, I bought 1,100 shirts off him for $1 a piece and turned it into $60,000 in less than a month. That's my single best treasure find of all time.
Wow. So, and is that because so you bought a ton of shirts from this guy for a really low price? Were you just able to flip each one for like $10 or $15, or were
Oh no,
these
these are
shirts
like
just
two
worth a
hundred
ton?
dollar like 1990s Grateful Dead shirts, dead stock. It was like a miracle find. It wasn't just like, it was just beyond insane. But one of the biggest shirt dealers in the world for vintage shirts bought most of them. He bought 973 of them for 48,000, and he probably sold them for 1 to 300 a piece. And then I sold about 100, 150 for another 10 grand myself.
Wow. Oh my God, that is amazing. Whoo. So
Picking a
when
flea market, just walking through my random flea market on a Saturday morning.
uh-huh. And so as soon as you saw those shirts, did you get that gut feeling and you were like, "Oh, this is it. This is it. This guy has no idea what he's selling me."
I honestly, it was dumb luck because, so right before that, I believe in thoughts become things. My whole life is based around manifesting. Whatever you're feeling is going to come to life. If you're thinking negative, you're just going to attract it. So I'm walking through the flea market, going to my friend's truck. He's like, "I want you to take this Grateful Dead piece." I was like, I don't want to ship it. You could probably sell it at your store." I walk over and get that from him. And I'm walking back with this Grateful Dead because I don't even think Grateful Dead stuff. It's just not my normal avenue. I'm so not focused on something. It's just dumb luck that I'm carrying this freaking piece of art, and the guy flops him out. It's not even a regular vendor, and the other shirt vendors were already there going through the first bag. How did they not jump on this right away? I don't know, because I would not let any type of treasure slip through my hands the moment it's in my hands, right? And so they were just looking for one shirt in these bags. I didn't even mean to say, "Is that a Dead shirt?" It's like weird. It just came out of my mouth. And I didn't mean to ask him how much for all. It was just like really just kind of like it just happened. He was like $1 a piece. I was like, sold. Like I didn't even know what I was doing. It was just like I remember calling my girlfriend. She was at work and she's like, "What in the hell's wrong with you? You just bought the piano unit. We don't need shirts. What are you going to do with shirts?" They're just like, "You bought how many?" Like, I'm like, chill. You don't have no, I mean, I had a guy come to the flea market. He's shaking, trying to just look at one shirt. And he was like so mad that he just missed like, because the first day it was 373, and then he showed up the next day at my storage with the other 850 of them. Not to mention 500 vintage Grateful Dead stickers, a handful of hats and frisbees, all from '95. It was just insane. He was like, "Here, take this. You already bought this. I'm gonna give you this too." I'm like, "Okay, you say so."
Wow. That is amazing. Oh my God. That's probably the type of thing where that occurs very occasionally, right? Most of the things you find, you're either making more money than you spend, but it's not mind blowing or anything. But occasionally you do get a gem like that.
It's very uplifting and inspiring, but also the dangerous side, because you have to be careful not to become spoiled. Now, if you get one great find, I've done this myself, where you start to think, "Oh, I don't want to do this type of sale no more because it's not good enough. I want to make this much money." You have to continue on like you normally do, and then when those home runs come, you just let them flood in. But you have to stay humble and keep on the same program that got you there.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Well, David, this has been great. I really respect what you're doing. You're doing it big, and I'm happy for you. Like 3 years ago, you said you were homeless, and now you got your own studio, new truck, new everything. That's super awesome. I know you have a place to be at 3, so I don't want to keep you too long. But to wrap this up, why don't you tell people where they can find you? Pitch your biggest social medias, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's real simple. Storage Auction Pirate, pretty much everywhere. Facebook and YouTube are my main video platforms. I use the other ones for more shorters, teasers, stuff like that. But Storage Pirate on TikTok, because they don't have long enough words. But Storage Auction Pirate, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can also catch us on Whatnot if you like treasure. Like, for example, we're selling 1980s Garbage Pail Kids today. Everybody loves those. Whatnot, Storage Pirate, yeah.
Right on. There you have it, everybody. The Storage Auction Pirate. He knows what he's doing. Check out his YouTube channel, his Facebook, all that good stuff. You will not be disappointed, and it is fascinating to see how he is able to flip all these things and find them. It's a whole world. Check it out.